What is the weirdest source of inspiration that you've drawn from for a project?
I don't know if I should answer this. And my dad always used to, say in a classic way, "एक check sign कर लिया तो भी बहुत है." Who came up with these questions? That's what I want to know at the end of this.
Okay, perfect, cool.
And if it's you're murdered.
Know that, nahi?
It better not be you. If I ever achieve what you just asked, I would be a PhD holder, or even more. Maybe I'll win a Nobel Prize for it.
Max Services presents KYAD, Know Your Architect/Designer.
Hi guys, welcome again to another episode of KYAD, Know Your Architect/Designer. It's me, your host Zaid Khan. I think this is the 5th episode that we're shooting, and if you don't me yet, you have to go and watch the previous 5 episodes. I have Sharan with me today, and I have someone special who's more than a friend, more than a mentor. I think I know him for a very long time.
Hi guys, this is Sharan Raikhangar, Director of Luxe Offices. I'm coming in the podcast for the 3rd time, and today we have a great mentor for Zaid and a great architect
For me.
for me, Mr. Rajiv from Talati and Partners. So I would like to move it on to Mr. Rajiv.
Okay, so apart from what you said, Rajiv Shroff from Talati and Partners. I'm an associate director for interior design since last 15 years at Talati, and just to clarify, not an architect but an interior designer at the end. And I'm, happy to be here. I think my first and a very first podcast ever is with you guys. So either you're lucky or I'm lucky.
We are lucky.
Yeah, this is
we are
great. So yeah, all yours.
Thank you. Rajiv sir, I think we just spoke about your journey with Talati for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
And I just want to understand from you, how was it like what you're today? Was the journey that easy in Talati for the last 15 years? What was your upbringing like? What was your college life like? So I'm going to dig into that. And that's the whole segment that we'll go through. We'll start with in parts. I will
I hope
start
you have
with,
enough reel because that's going to take a very long time.
so
Yeah.
we have time. This is what I said. We start with 45 minutes and we end up
We end up
with 2
with-
hours. So I want to understand from you, what was your schooling like? Where are you from? And we'll walk through that journey from your family life until today. We want to walk down that memory lane with you.
So very much a Mumbaiker, born in Mumbai, have my origins in Gujarat. My dad's from Baroda, mom from Ahmedabad, me from Mumbai, so quite a combination. So yeah, my upbringing has been in a very normal middle class family in Mumbai, and as such, life had it. Many of our family members have traveled to US, or like every Gujarati family, somebody travels to US, right?
Correct.
Or Canada, wherever,
Yeah.
or London, wherever the world takes you. If you're Patel, you're definitely going there. But us being Shroffs, we opted for US, and I think it wasn't till my late years in school, I would say 8th, 9th grade, that I was introduced to this aspect of that there is more beyond India or more beyond Mumbai. And, while I was growing up, I think there was a lot of peer pressure or in terms of what are you going to do next. And one thing I was very sure of in life, that I always wanted to be part of a field which connects me from pin to piano, in short. And I wanted to really, have something, as I said, more mentally stimulating than financially attractive. I never understood finances back then. And I think one of the reasons I wanted to do it because I was pathetic at mathematics. And my dad always used to, say in a classic way, "एक check sign कर लिया तो भी बहुत है."
All right.
That dialogue was always on my head. So, in such things, and after 10th, I think I didn't get enough percentage to be part of science. So you can't do architecture back in the days. And my other thought was that, okay, now when I really enjoyed cooking as well. So I took money from dad, and I said I'm paying it for the admission, and I went to the catering college in Dadar, and I paid the money and took admission, and I told my dad, and dad's like, where are you going? And I said, I'm going to the catering college. So he paused for a second and he said, okay, that's not happening. I'm going to get the money back. So there was this 1 year of my life where I just explored. I've taken every possible BST bus route in Mumbai, gone from one point to the other. I had to take admission in commerce, and which I never really wanted to do. I think out of the 1 year, I attended only 20 days. And that sort of sent a clear message to my dad that it's either my way or the highway. So, that stubbornness about what I wanted to do was very clear. And my sister was married in US, and she's older to me, and that opened up a lot of opportunity. I think it opened up with her support and my brother-in-law's support. I was able to explore the design world in USA. I took admission in Art Institute International in Chicago, and I studied there for three and a half years, and that was actually really a fantastic chapter of my life. That really opened up a lot of doors for my understanding of design, my understanding of structure, proportion, different types of architecture. It was like a whole new world to me. So I think that has been my foundation for what I design today as well, till date. And I think that's how the world, the journey happened. And I was there for a good 10 years. And for 10 years, I never traveled back. I had no reason to. And one fine day, I decided, no, I want to visit India. And I came back, and I happened to, Talati's happened to be my first interview in India. Since then, I'm here.
Speaking about your, I think your education has happened overseas than in India. There are a lot of, I think, you have a lot of people in your team who are now currently pursuing interior design, and a lot of interns who come to you as well, because I think you and me know each other, I think, for the last 7 years now. So I've seen a lot of new faces, a lot of old faces under you as well.
Correct.
Does that add, or is there a benefit of studying abroad and exposure which is there from overseas, or Indian institutes are better, which is now or that point in time? How do you compare that?
Well, I can't speak for all the institutions in India, because I think the Indian IITs, there are many universities are doing phenomenal. I think Indian engineering is phenomenal in many ways. However, when it comes to design and architecture, there are two fundamental differences. There are architectural schools, and then there are design schools. In India, architecture still is considered something which is more of a certified, it is more of an involved field legally than interior designers. I don't need to obtain a license to be an interior designer. We are still evolving as a country, because I remember when there's literally a funny story, because how Gujarati families are, and I took admission in interior design here in India as well. I did something at Rahejaz as a foundation course, and tried to do all of that. And somebody was visiting our house, and they were having a conversation with my dad, and they asked my dad even though I was sitting right next to them, they asked my dad, oh, what is your boy doing? And obviously the boy was damn pissed about it, but they said, my dad said, no, he's studying interior design. So the next sentence is, oh, he gave up studies. And so I think this I'm talking not too far back. And in those days, where there were very few hand-picked designers who had made their name. However, not a lot of them had a design foundation. they started their journey as an interior decorator, and hence they had a good taste. And over a period of years, they learned how to
The taste
design,
evolves
or they
over a
learned the
period of time.
technicalities
Yeah.
of it. I mean, somebody like Mr. Talati is an exception to that, because he's an institution by himself. He's laid foundation for a lot of us today. So, but I'm talking about many others in those days, and even when I was growing up, Talatis were still a big name in those days, even though we may be aware or not aware about it. But it was already a big name back in the days. But yeah, so I think the fundamental difference here is the education's yet to evolve. Abroad, when you study something, it is very out of the box. It gives you an understanding of what it is more than learning just the technical aspect of it. I feel sad for a lot of interns who join today. Neither they have the skills, or they're not guided in the proper manner. I wouldn't comment on someone's personal skill because everybody has the potential to grow. But I think the colleges need to do a lot more to guide them as to what the real world is. And when you talk about design's 30% of it, and rest of the 70% is your technical knowledge in terms of how you design, for what you design. Are you aware of the surroundings, the structure, the environment, the health, and primarily the client's requirement? So I think that takes a while, and that's why you see a lot of new faces, because some would realize that earlier than later, and the rotation happens. And when you talk about Talati as a firm, a lot of newcomers join us just to get the experience and then to move on. Very few actually realize the value of staying back and dedicate their time to completion of a project, to realize the true value of it and the journey. So interiors is all about you learn what you've learned from your experience and apply it to the next project. It's ever evolving. I think that's what makes it more stimulating than anything else.
Speaking about Talati as an office, because you're associate for last 15 years with them, uh, we have, because this podcast, we have our data and it's listened by a lot of people who are between 18 to 27s, and then this is only for them who are who's come out of that college, or they're still in their college, or people who are there practicing in someone's office and they want to start something of their own. So this question is basically, this is the backdrop of the question. I'll ask the question to you. How important it is to join a company or join a firm which is reputed, and it lets you evolve and grow, and how important it is for you to understand that this is the place that I want to be in. And
I
when do
think-
you come to know that? Because I think you're there from last 15 years.
I think it's that's a very broad question,
Yeah.
but I think it's in general, irrespective of any field, everybody should have some practical experience in today's life, right? While you are a student, you should be, or in your final years, you should be aware of what you're going to do in future, what it's going to take to be there, what's the growth path, and what are the steps that I need to do, I need to take, what are the prerequisites, dependencies that will allow me to grow further in life. So I think that's very common to every field. But yeah, it's important to be part of a firm if you're a fresher from college, because you not only understand the process of design, the real life challenges that come with it, the business aspect of it, which is something that you only understand once you join a firm or you start something on your own. Both. And considering today's social media, which I'm definitely taking advantage of, after 15 years, to be honest, it's very, very important how you place yourself in the market. Even if you want to start something on your own, the clientele is not going to be very easy. There are so many of us in the market doing wonderful job. Clients have a lot more choices than before. So one has to be the best at at the game, to be able to deliver.
I think what is here, it's something that I was thinking a lot about these days, because I'm doing these podcasts, and there are a lot of people who are following me on LinkedIn and they're asking this question. You ask a question which is like, um, if someone wants to do interior designing, is it important to do architectural? That's one thing. Second thing is, what is the fastest way? Because now I'm talking about the new generation which is coming, because everything they want is very quick. What is the fastest way to grow in interior designing as an industry? I think I spoke with someone yesterday, and then he mentioned that I've seen a lot of interior designers who are not interior designers as well. They've not studied anything. That's also one bracket of people that we know we're well performing in the industry. Is it only connects and you start doing the job and then you can grow in that industry? What is the fastest way according to you to grow in this industry? Is there a fastest way?
I don't think there is a fastest way to anything. You can be quick at learning things. That's one way of making it fast. And there's nothing wrong with a lot of people starting from scratch and becoming designer. However, it's like telling a guy who's making a sari with his own hand, and suddenly he realizes, oh, there is a machine out there. And he's not only introduced to the machine, but then he understands, oh, this machine can do this also that I previously couldn't do with my hand. I can do these different many types of designs
Stitches,
as well.
designs, whatever
So
it
it
is.
changes the perspective, right? And
Yeah.
changes the speed of your work. So if you want to go the fastest way, educational background is the most important thing. You know, it's better to be have full knowledge of something than half knowledge of something, because when you're starting and at the age that you're starting, it's very crucial to reach where you want to reach at the earliest. But for that, your foundation has to be very strong. Your understanding of materials has to be very strong, you know, all of that. So I think there's no fast way of going anywhere. And if there was, I wouldn't let you, because it took me a long time. So
Agreed. Another thing that I have in my head, I think I wanted to ask you this question from a very long time, because I know you as a personality. What was your childhood like? Were you a mischievous kid? How was your college life like? And
I want to ask you why you want to know that.
it's because of the podcast, yes, of course. And we want to understand you better. I think that's there. Yeah.
As I said, very, very normal childhood.
I don't trust that your childhood.
I was born 10 years after my sister was born.
Okay.
We were identical twins. And obviously the other one passed away after a while. But I have, I mean, I've been like a normal kid. There's nothing special about it. I wasn't very mischievous. I was very, I was very stubborn as a child. I think that is something that you can say. And I mean, honestly, nothing adventurous about it. Nothing adventurous about it.
Why did you think that I want to do interior designing, or this is a course?
Well, it was a compromise, because honestly I wanted to be an architect, and then because I couldn't get admission and my dad
why you
refused.
wanted to do architecture? Because you said that you wanted to do something which is from pin to piano. This is what.
Yeah, pin to piano. I think there are certain fields in the world which keeps you in touch with everything. I mean, think about it. I mean, we end up advising, and you've heard these stories from me multiple times, all the way from toilet paper to the television to the latest marble in the world. So I think that's something I find very stimulating. I think I'll tell you as I can pinpoint the reason now more. I think as child we always used to celebrate Ganesh Chaturthi at home. Me not being a very religious person to that point, I always enjoyed the festivities at home. And that used to be such a large production, because me and my sister and my neighbors will all sit down, will come up with a concept of what we want to decorate or what we want to create as a backdrop or a background. So I guess I was very crafty from my school days, and I grew up looking forward to my sister doing the same thing. And she has a phenomenal sense of aesthetics. I'm very thankful to her. And also, I have some uncles and aunts, and I come from a family where there are many different professions. We have chartered accountants. We have 3 different types of doctors, from pediatrician to gastrologist to a surgeon, as my brother-in-laws. And then I have my uncle. One of my uncle was very much into the art and theatre. He was very associated with those groups. I mean, I remember the nights sitting in Ahmedabad. We used to call it Ratri Baithak. We would chill down in the front yard of the house. We'd put some white cushions, We would all either read poetries about Maries or Ghalib, and there would be people who would be reciting that properly. There'd be some music. I think in those days I've seen every possible so-called art film, from Satyajit Ray to Shyam Benegal to Shabana to Nasiruddin Shah to Jagjit Singh, who was very much like a hype when I was a child. These are the early 80s that I'm talking about. And I think that was a lot of first for a lot of Indian era till we hit the 90s and the social dramas and all. But I think I was always attached to those things. And one of the things I learned out of that is to dissect and analyze things. Let's say I'm listening to a song, I would initially just listen to the song. The next thing I would do is understand which instruments are playing. The third thing I would analyze is how that rhythm gels with the singer's vocal cords, and how it relates to the movie, and what was the symbolism behind it. So, that sort of thinking process was always there, because that was what I heard from my elders and my cousins talking about, discussing about. So from concept to creation was always a process that I understood as a child, and I think that was the reason architecture was something that I would listen to. Yeah. This might be too lengthy for your podcast.
No,
I'm
it's
seriously.
completely fine.
No, edit out anything.
Because this is something which is important for a lot of people who are.
Yeah, I mean, I have never thought about it till you asked me. But to be honest,
is the
I
reason
think
we're having this podcast.
A lot of times people would, I would think when people would ask me, I wouldn't know what it is, because you never tend to self-analyze too much.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to, now I understand as an adult, grown-up adult, unlike you, that why this was happening,
And this is the reason we're having this podcast, to be very honest.
Yeah.
This is more of an unwind, and we're sitting and understanding you.
Right.
It's all about
No, so
you.
I think it's a great, and I'm sure everybody has interesting stories to tell.
Yeah,
but this is
everyone
how I
has,
saw
and
my
when you're
childhood.
saying-
I mean, when Devdas came out as a movie, it was funny because I've read the book by.
The older Devdas. No, not the Shah Rukh Khan one.
I'm saying I've read Sharat Chandra's Devdas as a book
All right.
in Gujarati. I have seen Kundanlal Saigal's Devdas. I have seen Dilip Kumar and Vaijayanti Mala's Devdas with Suchitra Sen. And then I was able to relate to what the genius Sanjay Leela Bhansali created. And I was in US in those days, and I remember once the preview came out, and I never used to go, like boast about anything, but it was to me all about, another thing I really wanted to do was art direction. I think after coming to India, when I was exploring after 1 year, I thought I want to join Nitin Chandrakant Desai for his set designing and all of that, because I was really mesmerized by what they did. I think till date, I think I get
that is
very
also a career,
excited
right?
about
when people
it.
do interior design, that's also a career that people
Yeah,
choose.
I think it's all about creating dream spaces. I think it's all about creating drama, theatrics. Again, that leads to concept to creation, and how best you do it. I mean, Nitin Chandrakant Desai would design sets for either Lal Bagh Ka Raja or Sanjay Leela Bhansali in Hum Dil De Chuke Sanam.
Correct.
Right? So that's what a phenomenal
Change
graph,
of, yeah.
and one director to create magic with. This sounds more like less of for an interior designer than an film industry
Which
thing,
is
but
okay. Yeah,
which is great too, because it takes a lot of effort to get into details. And if in terms of details, I think nobody does it better than Talati's, or what we learned from Mr. Talati. And honestly, I think that's where that's the success story of the firm. At the end of the day, is all about detailing, and so I think I appreciate that a lot more when it comes from other fields as well. And film industry being the best. One couch on with Coffee with Karan makes so much of a difference. All he had to do was change the upholstery and say this is waterproof. You look at the latest season, it's all about that fabric that has been mentioned so much.
Speaking about Mr. Talati, I think we just touched that topic. I think I visited someone in Hyderabad. It's a very old chap, and his office was done, I think, 15, 16 years back. And then he said that, can you tell me who's done this office? And I'm like, okay, I think. So then he showed me a molding detail of a fall ceiling which was done in wood, that trim, which is like step and then step. Like this is what Talati does.
Yeah.
Everyone will go in that corner and then they notice that this
Correct.
detailed work is only done by Talati, and that's there. Speaking about that, how it shaped you in those 15 years until what we are today.
So when I joined the firm, I had a very different US background. As you know, I worked in 3 different firms in United States. Well, one being a very high-end residential firm called led by a lady named Marilyn Rimland. Then I worked for a place called Mark Realty. So Mark Realty used to buy all these vintage buildings within Chicago downtown. They will purchase the building, they will upgrade the building, and say if it's a C-class building, they'll upgrade it and they'll convert into like A plus, and they would lease out the space. It was more of a lease module. So that was very interesting because when I started working there, my first job as an intern, and I had just come out of school, and my first job was to measure a building which was 25 floors, 333 feet long, 75 feet wide, with 38 windows on each floor. And they said, here's the tape, and go ahead, go measure it out. Survey the entire space. It took me 6 months. And for 6 months, I was like, this is the shittiest job ever because I came across some old dental places and rats in the building, and I came across some very interesting artwork, 1930s. By the way, they had a lovely mall in that building, and this being a vintage building, was made in 1938 with 6 elevators in those days, all mechanical to another level, 3 basements. Amazing structure, and it was a wedding. It's what they Chicagoans call a wedding cake architecture. So every floor, the floor plate reduces for a load bearing structure. So one would think, oh, I measure one floor, all floors are the same. No, they want to make your job difficult, so it's going to take you longer to do that. And I used to get really freaked out. But it took me 6 months, and after 6 months, it gave me an upper edge.
And did we have at that point in time that laser measurement tool that we have
still? No. I had actually a tape which was 300 feet long.
All right.
So I used to, and it used to have a hook on one side. So I would hook it on one side of the place and then stretch it as much as I can till there is no obstacle. Stop there, make a chalk marking, then again hook it there and then measure it again. And while I was doing that, there'd be like 2-3 light bulbs hanging, and just the sunlight coming through the windows. That was it. But it was probably an amazing experience now that I look back at it. It was a lot of fun. And
doesn't sound fun, but
it was fun from a point of view that I came across bathrooms done in 1938 where there were no paper dispensers. So they had fabric rolls, and they would have a boiling hot tub below, which is concealed in the wall. So you rotate with a spindle, washed cloth comes up, you wipe your hands, same thing goes into the water again, into the boiling water, and comes out. So it's the same piece of fabric that keeps rotating through soap and hot water, and you wipe your hand and you come out. And they actually had what we know today as powder rooms to powder your nose. There would be fancy couches, cigar places to smoke, and then the bathroom would start. So it was really like luxury to another level. And where I was trying to say, how we have these maps printed of what's on which floor. Nowadays, you can just go to the information desk or in Dubai. In those days, it was printed on a silk, and it said there were beautiful graphics to 1:20 scale, which actually depicted on a silk fabric what's where, and it's hand painted. And so there was some really fun stuff to learn.
Do you know the name of this building that we're speaking about, or?
It's on State Street, 25 South.
Because maybe we'll go online and search
Yeah.
for it because it looks fancy. I think. Maybe we'll get
but,
some
but
old
none of that
pictures.
is there now. It's
But
been
maybe
removed
we
and
can
it's
get an
become a
old
modern
picture of
building.
it because I think it looks
Yeah,
nice.
it's
I
on
think
State
we'll put a
Street,
reference to
and
the audience
it
that
was
is
very
watching.
close to the, which is now the Macy's, and it used to be Marshall Fields below before. So when you see in the movies the New York Day and the Christmas Day parade, Thanksgiving parade, which is shot in many films, it actually happens on that street on Thanksgiving.
Nice.
Wow. I mean, the details were crazy.
Yeah.
How you did, like, from what you said, from pin to piano.
Correct, right? Where
So
would I
what-
come across a denture and
Yeah.
a hand-painted
Never.
graphic at the same time?
Never.
Yeah.
So it shows, like, from...
And rats, which I had only seen in Mumbai.
So that shows
American
us,
American, very healthy ones, let me
Yeah.
tell you. Yeah, you don't want to
they
come
were
across.
healthy.
They're very healthy. Yeah.
So this is what I think in today's generation, what the architects want is they have to go through with these kind of sites or these kind of practical live examples.
But no experience is the same, right?
Yeah, no experience
The
is the
intern
same,
working
but-
with me have their own stories to tell,
Yeah.
or their own painful,
Yeah.
what they consider. I just feel, however, that us being an evolving country into this field of interior design, we have a lot to learn.
So every day is a new.
Nothing's natural to us. Okay, we have adopted something which we knew as a style.
Correct.
And we talk about an Art Deco Mumbai, or we talk about neoclassical, we talk about the Gothic era. That was an evolution that took place, which didn't took place for us. And sadly, we haven't been glued to what the Indian architecture's evolution was. We stopped at gaddas and takiyas, and we thought that was it. I mean, I was asked the same question when I was studying there, and there was a class on history of furniture, and there was nothing from India. And they spoke about China, they spoke about Japan, they spoke about Russia, they spoke about all known countries, but there was nothing on India. And that was my question to my professor, and I thought he was being biased. And he said, okay, if you feel there is, search it out and show it to me. And I'm telling you, it was the most difficult job to do that, because I'm talking the initial days of internet, where there wasn't much internet. And the books published didn't depict a lot beyond temples. And much less about furniture in India. If I ask you what is traditional Indian furniture, can you spell it?
No.
No, the only thing I remember is that divan that we used to
Yeah.
have. That's the only thing that comes to my head.
Yeah, I mean,
Which is
you
not
would,
also- this is
but
not
you would
something
go as far back as the Mughal era, which is 650 to 800
Yeah.
years max.
That is
right?
what
Yeah.
is coming.
Yeah.
So divan
Anything-
khas, that divan is what
Yeah,
we used
but
to call divan.
then what about the people? What were they sitting on?
Yeah.
What were they using in their houses?
Nothing. I think
beyond
the,
palaces.
The closest reference we have is the movie.
If
they
you
used to
have
sit on
anything
the
beyond
floor.
palaces, it's very difficult to identify. That's where I feel the education has to happen in a big way, and research takes place. So I think those are the things that the new generation should keep in mind and understand what is evolution of design, why you went from a gadda to a sofa to a funky lounge chair. How did that happen?
I'm just thinking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I've
it's
thought
very
about
interesting.
this, yeah.
I mean, we very proudly use and specify Italian furniture even today, which is designed in 1950s or 1930s. You talk about the Eames chair, you talk about the Corbusier chairs, a lot of products with brands like Herman Miller or other places. And they're still selling these classics even today, designed
Just changing the
back in the
fabric.
days.
Yeah.
Right, so there's a reason for it, and I think that emphasis on product design, detailing, is yet to be introduced in an overall spectrum. There are schools that emphasize on it, like NID in Ahmedabad or NID anywhere else. There are institutions, but I think there aren't enough designers and architects that go back from their profession to teaching.
Coming back to the subject again, can you name those 3 offices that you worked for in US, and then we moved to Talati?
I said, already mention that? One
No,
was
I think we
Marlin
were on-
One
Dreamland.
was he
Yeah.
Mark Realty was the one where I started
Second
with the
one, yeah, and the
experience
third
of and then the third one was Sears Holdings Corporation, which had an in-house design department for concept stores. So that was a good 800-acre plot, the second largest cafeteria after the Pentagon. A beautiful, beautiful gym, which I rarely used back in the days, with a laundry service. 8,000 employees when I joined. They had around 850 stores across United States. And out of 8,000, there were 1,500 Indians. So it was quite an experience. It was an hour and a half journey one way every day.
So this
in
is what you're
winter.
speaking in those 10 years that you were there in States.
Yeah,
and your
these were
plans.
my 10 years back in the days, and there was a good period of 9 months when I was laid off in between jobs after the 9/11 happened. I was there when 9/11 happened. So when the market came crashing down, I was laid off, and in those 9 months, I think I worked at an Italian restaurant. I used to do 3 jobs a day. So in the morning, I used to work with a librarian. In the afternoon, I sold luggage like Tumi, Mont Blanc, Zero.
All right.
Made a lot of good money on commission.
Nice.
All illegal, now I can say that. And in the evenings, I worked at an Italian restaurant for 4 hours, which
Your
covered
catering
my...
gave in
Catering,
place
yeah.
at some point
Yes,
in time. Huh?
yes. So that was, but I was unfortunately I was only the phone person, and I was doing all the background work like checking inventory of wine, mostly opened up by me.
Nice.
But
Good place to be in.
yeah, no, but it was fun, a lot of fun. That's funny, that's like really we talk about fusion of people. Italian owner, Italian restaurant, Indian phone person. Apart from the main chef, there were all Hispanics cooking in the kitchen. Latvian and Russian bartenders. And, there were other guys from Colombia, Venezuela. So at the end of the work, when we all used to sit down, none of us could understand each other's language. The worst English possible in US. We had lots of fun eating, dancing, drinking. It was like every weekend was a party without spending a single penny, which I loved.
Speaking about then after Talati, I think 15 years.
15 years, yes.
What is those 15 years like for you now? I think it's a journey. I think it's a journey.
It feels
I
like...
think you need to break it down in terms of segments to us, because you've seen eras. I think that's been.
Yeah,
there.
there'll be too much of storytelling.
It's okay. We are open to that. We gave
Everybody from my department's going to look at this and like, what? Who gave you the mic? Who are these idiots who gave you the mic? And no, but I think it's been a phenomenal journey. I think one of the best part about working at Talati's is that you're treated like family from day one. B, I think the kind of variety of clientele, the variety of projects, at least that I have done, I think very few get that opportunity in the company. And I think I've been very lucky to be part of that, whether the project worked, didn't work, you completed, didn't complete, the client was difficult, not difficult, but it was extremely, extremely work satisfaction to another level, which I don't think I would have ever experienced in US. Because in India, you're not just an interior designer, you're also the project manager, you're also the accountant for them, and you're also the after-sale service provider. So I think that all put together is so much responsibility on one head. I remember in my earlier days, I used to be so overwhelmed by the process and the freedom of language. When you work in a Parsi firm,
and then Gujarati.
Forget Gujarati. Whatever I learned in US, these are bad words. This is not how you respond to someone.
All right.
Everything was washed out in the first day. And I'm like, what? Are you sure? can we talk this with so much freedom?
Okay.
And I was just taken aback. I'm like, who are these people? You know, but I think eventually when you learn that it doesn't matter in what language you express your emotion or anger, it's the same thing. The language of cinema is universal, so is the language of design. And it ultimately boils down to what you create for them. Are the clients happy at the end of the day? Do they feel satisfied? Have you delivered a product that's going to last them the next 10 to 12 years in today's world? And back in the days, it was like 15, 20 years when Mr. Talati used to do it. But, you know, it all boils down to that. And your biggest bonus is if the clients come back after that job and say, oh, we have one more place to do. That's that's when you really know that you've been doing so well for so many years.
Correct.
Until that happens, it's still a struggle.
Correct.
Every day.
That means you have a repeat customer.
Yes.
Repeat client.
And who wants to, you know, unless they have a lot of faith in you, and it's like going to a good doctor, or keep going to your pediatrician even after you've grown up.
Yeah.
That's a matter of faith. And I think that's very important to develop between a client and a designer, because that's when the best results come out.
Yeah.
So I think that's been that. I don't know, in segments though, it will be like, you know, you'll have to probably...
Katha.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to probably do
I don't know if it's
podcast
Katha or
for that.
Gada Pachisi, but either one of them. But it'll be like a whole Akbar Bilbil story to it. But we have a lot of fun stories. You've been part of some, or you've been a spectator to some of them.
Speaking about the culture that you've been, not speaking only about Talati and the exposure that you have previously to that, how was your design philosophy shaped? What is your design philosophy? So let's say if you're speaking about you as an individual, if I want to work with you on one of my project, this is for the viewers, just to give in context, who wants to, you know, work with you, collaborate with you for their house or for their office or for their restaurant, for their hotel, whatever the project could be. What's your design philosophy? Like, what are you more comfortable in doing? I know you're a versatile guy. I think that's what I know about
I think you need to break your question into segments, because the one question is very loaded.
This is what I'm... So you get time to answer.
No, so I was anyways going to take that, so which I think no, but I think 2-3 elements to this, right? One is how you approach professionally, in terms of, and how you analyze the client and understand what they want. So I think today we have a lot of SOPs in place to how to make the client understand what we do. All right. I think one of the clients feel at times they have a lot of questions. Either they're first timers or second timers. They have a lot of questions related to what's my design going to be like. Do I have a idea about what my design should be? Will they stick to my budget? I still want to stick to my specific budget and still, get the result that I want. And as I said, we are not a country that has evolved through many years of, say, 200 years of independence, or, we've not done that journey. We are just plunging into something where we are suddenly now evolving as a great nation, and people have a lot of questions, and we are exposed to materials which never existed for us before. We haven't experimented with those again. So there are a lot of apprehensions when the clients come to us. So what we've done is we've placed in an SOP for them. So as you say, you come to us, the first thing that we try to do is make you walk through the different stages of work. Okay. Whether it's the introduction, concept design, design development, construction, and execution put together, and then a handover stage. Okay, that's in a nutshell. But this describes what I'm going to provide for you. I'm also describing for you what is, in a nutshell, the client's responsibility. What are we expecting from them to streamline the process? One of the biggest challenges of today for us is to make the process as smooth for the client as possible. We want the journey to be a happy journey, not a frustrated one. We try to give them realistic timelines. The first thing is to complete the design development process, take sign-offs from the client, take their approvals, and then get full clarity on the budget part of it. Okay. Also, at the concept design level, we walk you through different design styles. We understand what style you're enjoying, and then we try and pursue the same for you. Okay, we'll try and implement the same to the nearest to your expectations. Post design development stage and post appointment of the MEP contractors, we would start developing the 3Ds for you. We have a full-fledged 3D department in the office, all the way from doing a Google Oculus to making 3D models of a building. And some of these do take time. We do key areas, not all of them, but we do a lot of 3D nowadays. I generate, apart from photorealistic images, even for the smallest area like a utility area or a bathroom, we tend to make SketchUp views. Now, these are not photorealistic, but it still gives you an idea about the proportion or the shape of the place. This gives full clarity to the client without spending a lot on mock-up money or raw material, or not being able to understand there are more than multiple heads thinking in the house. So once you have a 3D, you can put the picture in front of you, discuss with the family, take their opinions, all of that. So I think the idea is to make the journey as simple as possible. Also providing financial goals, saying this month you'll have to make a certain amount of payment now, later. This month's going to be heavy on payments. We also recommend hiring project managers, as we are not the project managers. We rather focus on the design. We would like you to hire somebody who's either a clerk of works, somebody who keeping track of your accounts. That way you know what you're spending where. And if you're going somewhere higher, we can highlight that. So you're not involved day to day into other things, but you're involved to a point where you know what you're expecting is becoming reality. So I think that's the approach. It's going to make it very simple for you rather than complicated, because it's a very complex process to make a house, and emotions are very high, expectations are very high, patience levels are very low. So you have to deal with all of that. And I keep telling my clients, I will charge you separately for any sort of counseling. If there are disputes in the family, we do that also, but we do charge for it. I'm making it very clear on the podcast. So, these are the things that we deal with. But as the SOPs in place, I think we are getting more and more structure. Even after a firm which is more than 52 years old, we still try to improvise wherever we can to make it as easy as possible for our clients.
I think Talati is one of the firms that I've seen which is very apt on adapting the technology which comes in.
Absolutely. I think post-COVID, we've really upgraded our office to the latest technology that's possible, whether it be doing online video calls or keeping up with the progress of the project. So yeah, I mean, you have to keep up with the time, and while maintaining the quality that we've been delivering. So it's one thing to be known for Mr. Talati's goodwill, but it's another responsibility or another level of pressure to keep up with it. So I think that's very important to sort of work on. And yeah, I mean, talking about design philosophy, there are no defined philosophies anymore. I mean, if I say neoclassical today, your definition of neoclassical to mine would be very different.
I have a picture in my head which is of neoclassical. You might have something else when it comes to neoclassical.
Yes. So how do you bridge that gap? Okay. And so as we say, a picture says 1,000 words. So hence we tend to refresh you with a lot of references to analyze what you are expecting. Because if I just say I want a modern contemporary house now, modern separate, contemporary separate,
correct.
Two different words altogether. You're fusing it together. If you want each wall different, it becomes eclectic. You want moldings, but you don't want filigree work or decorative ornaments on it. It becomes neoclassical. You want something which has lovely wallpapers with molding. It becomes old English style, old school charm. You want filigree work on it, hand painted stuff on it, becomes Parisian, like the French look. Similarly, today, after many years of observing social media or something like Pinterest, I've realized in between there was no style. When I joined the firm, I never picked up a magazine and say, I want to design according to this. Nowadays, if you ask the new generation or the interns joining and say, okay, come up with some design concept, they'll come to me with a Pinterest folder. There is no thought process in terms of my flooring limitation is this, my height is going to be that much, my window is at that level, so my sunlight will hit in a certain direction. There's no sense of surrounding to the site at hand, which is very important before you pitch in a design or you even come up with a concept, which I think is lacking major due to the bad side of, or I would say the lazy side of social media, where people don't understand that you can't copy everything. Everything has to be either implemented to your scale, proportion, size. There's nothing wrong in taking references. It's not like you're copying it,
Just
but
to
it's
add
very
something
important.
here, sorry to cut you off here, but just adding something, I think you're the one of the designer that I know, very limited of them will ask for the actual size sample to the site, and I want to see it in the day and I want to see it in the night. I think I've done that
That's
exercise
correct.
with
That's
you.
correct, because it's important. Like I keep doing that for a lot of things. Importantly, people don't understand the impact of lighting. I think there has to be a lot of emphasis on it. It's not about brightness or the look of the fitting. A lot of times vendors come to me with like your spotlight or your switches, for example. They come up with the fanciest looking switches, which is great as a product design point of view. But I want to give it importance where it's necessary. Right. You are doing marble, you're doing wall paint, you're doing artwork on it, you have fancy Italian furniture, you have a decorative chandelier. You have to have a fine balance between what equates as good design in harmony, what has to have the first priority when somebody walks into the room. What is my focal point to that design is very, very important. So if everything's screaming, look at me, you'll never have good design. So it's a very fine balance, and that's the design philosophy in general, if you ask me, irrespective of whether I want a molding or no molding or a textured paint. And because of a lot of fusion and an explosion of images, what is happening in the world today overall, even internationally, there are no styles developing. You would not find an art deco. You would not find 100% wabi sabi. It has become a very short-lived trend. A site which is executed today, tomorrow it becomes popular on social media, and in a week you're going to forget about it.
Correct.
There is no evolution of design anymore, because it's an explosion of design suddenly. Because there are so many designers who are either trying to be inspired by each other, trying to copy each other also in many ways. So you have to be very careful of what you do with your own space, or what you're trying to pitch across. And if anything that I've learned being at Talati's, or my previous background also, or my crafty work also, that it has to have a flow and the right balance of everything. In advertising, they teach you, when you make a graphic, and you make a whole chart or poster or whatever, and you look at it, and the first thing that comes to your eye and mind is not the thing of importance, remove it. You don't want that focal. You want your focal to be the tile. Even though your logo here says Luxe, it's the tile that's still prominent to me.
Correct.
However, it serves the purpose when I look at Luxe, right?
Correct.
That's a job of a graphic designer or a designer in general, where you're able to read that. So creating the correct focals, understanding your materials, and then interior design takes it to another level because I'm trying to make a sustainable product for you. I'm trying to not only make it sustainable, I'm trying to make it as environmental friendly that it can be. And primarily in India, I think the sense of luxury relates to sustainability. Luxury equates sustainability because if it's sustainable, that means I have less maintenance, a more dust-free environment, and a convenient environment, because that's going to keep me happy at the end of the day. If I don't have to stress about going home and cleaning something, I'm mentally more relaxed.
Correct.
And that mental health post-COVID, I think, is
Is
important to
very
all of
important,
us, right? So I think that's very, very important how all of this blends in together.
Which is your project close to your heart, or any design which is close to your heart?
Well, they're, it's very hard to pinpoint and, not trying
And
to
I know
be,
certain projects that you can name also.
yeah, but I mean, I'm not trying to be modest about it, but yeah, genuinely, sometimes when you are in the rhythm of work, it's difficult to pinpoint one thing. But I think what I am trying to talk about is the one what I have shared, which is a neoclassical. It was quite challenging to kind of find a fine balance between a classical shell versus very contemporary style of furniture. And I think this one was challenging as it was a show flat for a very, very prominent building. And it's still, as you see, these are concept drawings of what I've shared with you. And hopefully in future this will get executed very soon. And and I think what I love about it is really the fine balance of moldings, proportions, capturing the amount of sunlight that's going to come in many ways, but adding a lot of elements from, it really recreates that nice Western look, very Western European look to the space. And I think it's very important in today's world to accessorize properly, place the correct artworks. And the flow of the space is also very important. So I think every project starts with a space plan challenge, and this was definitely one of them because it has it's a very angular layout, and in a very, very prominent building that is that we're going to see very soon opening up as well. So a few challenges in terms of the space plan, the working out the services for the apartment, and apart from that, sticking to one flow of a classical look, but not to go overboard with it. At the same time, introducing a lot of contemporary elements to it. So if you look at the images, there is a lovely deity in the entrance, yet it's a lovely Krishna playing flute. Again, it's very conceptual, something that is inspired by an image that we found, and we really wanted to recreate that in three-dimensional aspect. A lot of detailed glass work involved, and with the warmth of the beautiful rugs anchored to contemporary Italian furniture, and a lot of straight line metal work introduced with the marble. So I think that really adds an element. If you look at the decorative lights, it's still the feel of a chandelier, but it's not the teardrop. It's a very lovely piece by Preciosa in a contemporary metal work. And if you look at it up close, it's the red color wire incorporated with this lovely bronze metal that is the highlight of the chandelier. So I still have the same proportions as a classical site. However, it plays a lot with material, the concept, in many different ways. So I think that really was the challenging part about it. And so I really love this, and I'm really looking forward to it being executed very soon. So I think it's going to look very good once it comes out. Yeah.
I think we spoke about the project that's there. I want to speak about a project. I know there are a lot of projects that you can't speak about. I'm well aware about them. But I want to understand a project that you've been a part of and it has shaped you or it has changed you. Not You don't have to name a project. I don't want any references also. But it could be a project that has shaped you or that has changed you as a person. This things come in your career, right? When you do something and you evolve as a personality or you evolve as a
I think you
designer.
definitely evolve as a designer. It adds to your career graph, in many ways. So as I said, when I joined back from US, I was still in the stage of where we make construction documents, sets, drawings are signed off on, and then it goes to the city council for approval, and then it comes back and then it gets executed. In India, there is no city council sitting there for the interior works, right? You pretty much do whatever you want to do,
Correct.
without damaging the structure.
Yeah.
That's the basic line that you follow. Back in the days when I joined, there was, say, 70% of site work, 30% of drawing work.
Okay.
Post-COVID, again, we've learned the importance of drawing work and clarity on budget, and that's hence the new SOPs in place, even for us. So I think when you are approached by large corporations, bigger organizations, you understand the importance working hand in hand with engineers. Okay. So when you're doing larger projects, like say you're designing a mall or a hospital or something which is multi-story, multi-facility, you come across MEP teams, structural teams, different types of consultant. You have a separate landscape consultant. You have a separate pool consultant for all the building amenities.
Landscape.
Landscape also. So that really forces you to put down everything on paper to the T. You have to be very detailed, and as you grow, which I already knew, but it's kind of sort of new for a lot of people working with me as well today, and the new generation that's working. It's very important to understand that whatever you put on a drawing, and if it's floated in the market to the MEP teams or the other consultants, these are literally legal documents in today's world. What I write and specify, let's say I'm specifying a paint for you, I not only write the brand or the code of the color, I'm also specifying what sort of finish, what should be the subsurface treated with, what is the precaution post painting. All that becomes part of a specification language. I would really love if schools in India would teach students about what construction documents are, to take us to the next level and to compete with international designers as well. As you know, there are many international firms now working in India. Whether you talk about the skyscrapers to larger facilities or urban planning, why should we as Indians lose out on those markets? So I think it's very important for us to understand the process, the design development, and the construction document process. And I think that's the emphasis, because that's the way to get organized for larger projects. And while doing that, you can handle more work with ease. So you can multiply yourself in many ways. So I think that's if that answers your question to a certain extent, yeah.
Speaking of design, so while selecting the material, while designing a space, do you select the material? Do you have some material in mind and then you design the space? Or it's the vice versa?
Well, I think the first thing to keep in mind is the requirements of the client. The second thing that comes in terms of priority is the practicality of the space.
Okay.
Circulation, as I said, everything starts at space plan, very, very important.
Correct.
Another thing you want to keep in mind is while selecting your material, think of your junctions.
Okay.
Whether you're applying a tile on the wall,
Yeah.
how is that going to impact your ceiling? Am I going to be able to do a joint properly? Do I need grouting space? If I have grout, then does it need to be 4 mm or a proper up to 9 mm where I have some grouting in the middle? How is that going to impact my elevation? And more importantly, keep your space in mind, because as I said, the environment matters the most. Are you looking at that space to have a certain level of echo? Does it need to be sound absorbent? Is it going to be friendly to the temperature? Is it going to, do I have a habit of keeping my ACs at 18 degrees Celsius where I can't do a lot of stone cladding because I'm going to feel the moisture at hand? So there are many things one needs to think about before even to start specifying something. The aesthetic aspect of it comes way later. Then you think of the color scheme, and then you think of the and obviously everything can be ruled out in 1 second by the client. Too expensive, can't do, Rajiv, sorry. So that is also
that is always
but I would say don't worry about the budget as far as you're not doing something really out of the way. Don't stop your thought process keeping the budget in mind. That's what the client would expect you to do. The client would say, did you think of the best and then value engineered it for me? Or did you, to start with, gave me a product which wasn't, by keeping the cost in mind? So every client would enjoy if you explored all possibilities. And I think that's something they would respect if you explain the thought process behind it. So it's very important to provide something which is quality, good value for money, and practical to their requirement. These are the policies I follow. I would not think any ways otherwise.
Speaking about people, because now we're speaking about people, the segment is all about human psychology. This is what
Okay, let's start talking about Zaid.
Speaking about human psychology now, how important it is for a designer to be a person reader or a face reader or a practical person who understands personalities. Because interior designing could be one part, but now you're dealing with people. Is it important to understand that person? Because you're designing a space for someone where you're not going to live, you're living. So do you walk in those shoes and you understand that person first, and then you start in that direction of designing that space?
So if I ever achieve what you just asked, I would be a PhD holder, or even more. Maybe I'll win a Nobel Prize for it. I think it's always different, ever evolving. You're going to face a different challenge with every client. You would never have a choice of the best client ever. And because you're in the field, you're always going to have a problem with some client. So I would say have fun as much as possible. Learn to let go, which is very difficult for me as well. You have to keep your egos aside and think. I have a very hard time doing that at times, because it's sometimes not about the ego, but I think it's sometimes a struggle between the vision of the designer versus what the client wouldn't understand. I think it's a whole game about communication. You are trying to communicate your design to the client by a 2D drawing, a physical sample, providing something, doing a mock at site, walking them through someone else's home. So there are many layers to it. अच्छा ये इतना सब करने के बाद भी कुछ नहीं होता. God save you. And then you give up and you become a saint. You find yourself a 3-day vacation in Himalayas. You come back fresh and tell the client, you are right, sir. We are doing this for you the way you want it. You are a genius. That's how I handle it. But all this wisdom comes after removing your wisdom tooth and feeling the pain. Okay, so that's part of it. So yeah, that's how you do it. Yeah.
So that is the reason we say that client is always right.
Yeah. Do you have any other option? No. The only time you don't say it is when you want to sell your time.
No, the reason I ask you this is because I think there are a lot of people who are watching us are the generation who's now into college and now moving into practice. That's what I call. Because now people don't understand one thing, that you have to understand the client first. I understand that this design, this drawing is one thing, but even to let down your your things, and then you say, okay, you're right, and I'll do things in your
Well,
way.
on a serious note, hear them out. Sometimes we are very impatient because more than the client, we as a designer have already made up our mind. At my this site, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Don't get to that stage. Go through the previous stages before. Hear them out. It helps. Then you don't feel like you have to let your guard down. Then you feel like, oh, I gel with this person. He understands me. I understand him. And it becomes a very happy, joyful environment. So avoid the negative aspect of it. Just go out, have coffee, have lunch with them, try to understand their family. And I always insist, even if there is only one person conducting the meetings from the house head or the head of the
Decision
family
maker.
or the decision maker,
Correct.
I insist on meeting the entire family once.
Correct.
Because that opens up a lot of I also insist on visiting their house where they currently stay, because that speaks volumes about their operational aspect, their living habits, what they are not telling you, because they feel if you come and see my old wardrobe, you're going to think I'm going to live like that, which is not a fact. And I would like to give a message to every client who's buying a new house, who are first timers, or they are shifting from a smaller house to a very large place. My request to them and my, how do I say, guidance or advice to them would be that please keep in mind when you shift to a new home, particularly a luxury home, it is going to be a lifestyle change. You're not going to be in your old habits anymore. If you're a habit of taking your cup and keeping it on the bedside table, it may not be that habit anymore. It may be something else. You may want to, you're having your coffee in your bedroom right now, but now I've made a lovely coffee bar for you. Have it at the coffee bar. You've got a lovely sea view, or you've got direct vision to rest of the family while sitting there. Or you've got a much larger television in the living room now than your bedroom or any other place of the house. You have a formal dining room, so you don't need to, and a small breakfast table. So you don't need to worry about setting up the entire table every single time. So there are many, many habits that change. The change comes from operation of the house, maintenance of materials, having number of house help. That makes a lot of difference also. So be ready for it. It's an evolution. As much as we would like to design around your current habits, it will be a transformation.
So now we're moving to a segment which is
Rapid fire.
rapid fire. It's more of a psychometric test where we'll ask you questions. It defines little context on what kind of personality you have. That's the only reason we have, and we'll have fun.
So you're trying to figure it out instead of
Yeah.
asking me openly.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if you win.
And of course, by the end of the segment, we have a hamper for you. So you're the only one, but by default, you're winning it. But
Okay, chalo.
all right, perfect. So if your design studio had a theme song, your design team had a theme song, what would the theme song be?
Oh my God, the first one that came to my mind was Hum Saath Saath Hai. But
All right.
No, I think
Hum saath saath hai?
no, it'll be more of that Gotilo sort of thing.
Oh.
We are more of a Gujju crowd.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is the weirdest source of inspiration that you have drawn from for a project?
I don't know if I should answer this.
You should.
You should.
And you won the first one now. We're not buying the second one. I see that look. You have to say it.
I don't know. I'm still thinking about it.
I think
I
you
think
already know
yeah,
which one you
yeah.
have to say. You're thinking of the second one now,
Yeah.
which is a little more sophisticated.
Yeah, a little bit more decent.
Yeah. We want to know the first one, please. I think we request you for that, the first.
No, I don't think I can use such words in public. But
We will use the beep.
yeah, no, yeah, you shouldn't do that either. No, yeah, no,
No.
all good, yeah. Come on,
We're waiting. It's okay. You can take your time.
jackfruit.
Jackfruit?
Yeah, let me just put it that way.
No.
No.
I don't know why. I mean, I'm getting that vibe. There's something which is crazy going to
Yeah.
come out.
Let me just say palm tree.
Why? And how?
I'm just the way it's structured and.
Or did you use it in
balanced.
any of your project?
Okay, like a bathtub sort of thing. I think that would be an inspiration to design a piece of furniture.
If your job title were a superhero name, what it would be?
I think Superman would be too cliche, but I think
My recommendation: don't use Superman.
Because it's already done.
no. I'm just saying that
That's
that's too
crazy.
cliche.
Everyone has said Superman.
No, which is that one? The oh my god, that was wrong direction. Sorry, can you pause for a second? I want to remember this name.
It's going on.
Okay, this is the
We'll edit
one
it, it's okay.
which is the dark side. You know, the one that
Black
has
Panther.
no, the black Venom. Thank you. It would be Venom
Okay. Why Venom?
because I have a good side and bad side both.
Nice.
I can eat you up and spit you out as also.
Nice. Okay.
That was bad, not you in general. That should give you an idea about the personality.
Okay.
I'm Venom, yeah, when
Okay.
it comes to that.
If you're no, because we
Watch
spoke.
out.
I have a reel already.
Thank you.
Now, because we spoke about movies, this question is coming in.
Oh my god.
If your designs were a movie genre, what would they be? Romantic, comedy, thriller, fantasy, what?
art film,
All right. If your designs were a season, which one would they be?
fall.
Okay. Reason?
It's got
What do you like about fall as a season?
Well, the colors,
Okay.
the wind, the quietness, and anticipation towards the winter.
If your designs were a ice cream flavor,
Hazelnut.
what do you like about hazelnut ice cream?
Nothing that it not only gives you a lovely flavor to start with, but it also lingers around.
If your designs were a travel destination,
I don't know, some place like Kerala, closer to nature.
okay. The beach side or the
Mountain.
The
forest
green.
side?
The green.
The green.
Now, this is something which is, these two questions are interrelated. Now, if you would like to redesign a famous monument, architectural monument which has already been there,
Architectural monument?
yeah,
If I want to redesign,
yeah.
I don't want to redesign anything now.
If your designs were a famous landmark, then which landmark would it be?
If my designs were a famous landmark, then which one would it be? I don't know. To me, the most impactful places are, so to say, public parks.
Okay.
I think nothing is more interesting than a public park or a public space that builds a sense of community. I would relate something more to that. I can't pinpoint a particular landmark,
But
but
we get
yeah,
the picture. Describe your ideal workspace in 3 words.
with access to nature.
Okay.
Oh, that's many words. Sorry.
Nature is one.
Okay. Nature, coffee, and my team.
If your designs could talk, what would they say about you?
Oh, it was painful. That's what it's going to say.
If your designs were a vehicle, what would they be like? Sports, vintage, or something else?
I think there would be more vintage. Who came up with these questions? That's what I want to know at the end of this.
Okay, perfect, cool.
And if
That
it's
you-
you're
not going to
murdered.
know that, nahi?
It better not be you.
No. Okay. If your designs were a board game, which one would they be?
Chess.
Okay. All right.
That's a smart one, yeah.
Nice. All right. Cool. I think this is the last question.
Yeah.
Then. Congratulations, sir.
Where is that tissue paper? Oh,
Sure,
that's
please.
great. Oh, this has to be like a formal thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's a
thank
common
you.
thing.
Chocolates for all of you. Thank you,
Thanks,
buddy.
please,
Thank you
Thank you.
for calling me here.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a hug, but later. Cool. Thanks.
Once you entered Luxe offices, what was your first thought?
Damn, I'm going to have to meet Zaid. That was my first thought, but in all honesty, when he took me out from this foyer and we walked inside the space, and the feeling was, wow, look at the scale. That was one thing, and I think it's a great display of products. I think I don't know the number. I don't know if you know the number of amount of variety displayed inside is really great, and I think it's done up quite well as the customer experience to walk around and be able to enjoy. And like we were discussing earlier, the height is an important factor.
Yeah.
So I think that's captured quite well, and I have been enjoying all small details of the addition of the cafe or the and the custom basin in the loo. Those are some really nice touches. I love the cactus, which I forgot to mention those piece of accessories out there, and I think when I walk around, those are if I have to shut my eye after taking the first walk, these are the elements that blink in my head, and quite impressed by the finishing as well. I mean, it's quite good. I think so an overall great feeling. I feel comfortable bringing the clients here. I know they'll come, I can with an ease display or explain about how the products work. So I think that's a good thing. That's always a good thing for a showroom, and all the best for putting so much hard work in. I'm sure you guys will get a great response.
I think next question is what I want to ask. How was your experience over KYAD?
No, it was good. I think great. I mean, great talking to all of you. Fun. I think I have also contributed to that fun a little bit.
It's all you, but okay.
I have to take my credit somewhere. So no, but it's great. I think it's really been nice, and it's fun. It feels very light, and trust me, this is, I think, my first sort of a social media experiment ever. I don't think I've ever been on any podcast before. I've not. And it's fun. I feel this much fun. I don't mind doing it again, but with different questions.
All right.
So no,
I don't
it's
mind
great.
designing the question setting with you for other people.
Yeah, I think let's do
That'll be
that.
fun.
It's
Questions
opened
by
up a whole
Rajiv Shroff.
Pandora's box for me.
Questions by Rajiv Shroff. Let's have a segment.
Yeah, you better edit out those coconut trees and jackfruits. The bad examples. If you actually figure out the code, then it's even worse.
Thank you so much, Rajiv, sir, for coming. I
Thank
think
you.
You're someone who's jokes apart. I think I admire you a lot. I think I always have that special place in my heart for you. It's not something which is superficial. It's not fake. It's always that respect that I And every time I speak with you, I learn something new.
You can just say I'm old, rather than saying all these things.
I'm not saying that you're old. But yes, of course. Now you revealed everything on this podcast. Your age, 80s, 90s, 70s,
I
30s.
haven't said anything. I just spoke about experiences.
Yeah.
You don't watch
Early
movies.
80s.
You watch movies which are period drama. What's wrong with that? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
TV
he's quite
tells you a
young.
lot about.
Guys, he's quite young.
Yes, thank you.
Out of everyone in my list, because first I made a list of people whom I'm comfortable with in terms of speaking. I think your name was the first that came. The
I'm
reason-
glad it. I wish my clients felt the same way.
Good one.
No
And,
comments on that.
I mean, that would really make me happy.
Yeah.
More business coming my way.
No, but honestly speaking, I've seen your designs. I've seen the work that you've done, and this is one question that I want to ask you. I think it's off the hook because there's a lot of calmness in your design. I don't know how you get it from because when I speak with you, you have that ease and that is that is there. But at the same time, you're very fun to speak with. You have that poise in you. You have that sarcasm in you. But when I see look at your drawing, it's very calm. It's very soothing. Every design that I've seen of yours. Do you have a calm zone or a zen zone where you go in and then you come up with these ideas, or how do you do?
No, I think I'm a very people person. Um, I think talking to people makes me happy. Um, you must have figured out that I enjoy talking a lot, and a lot of people who are going to watch this are going to like probably like blab about it and say things. But I think there is no particular place where I go and meditate and come back. I wake up at 4:30 in the morning almost every day without an alarm, and that's been a ritual for such a long time that my natural cycle's set that way. And it's those first 2 hours I decide what I'm going to do during the day. I think that helps me sort out my day, and no one's perfect. So I think of 10 things in a day, I may be able to complete 5 or 6 of them at max. And out of the 5, 3 will be like a disaster, and 2 will actually work out. Right. So it's human nature. But I think what I've really enjoyed, and I think my team at or my colleagues, I shouldn't use the word team also, whoever I work with, I think it's really a great, happy environment that we try to, we always get a phone call from our admin, Maruk Patel. She's such a sweetheart. She'll call up and say, "You are the loudest in the office. Shut up." And I'll say, "It's not me. I wasn't laughing at all. It's the echo." And so we make up these stories. But I think laughter is the best medicine, I would say. If you laugh it out at the end of the day or at the beginning of the day, there's no other way of keeping yourself sane in this crazy, chaotic world. I don't follow any philosophies, or neither am I religious. I'm just me.
Thank you
For
sir,
having me.
for
Thank you so
And
being
much.
giving
with
me a
us
nice
today.
break during work. I can always say I was working, but I was having fun at the same time.
Thank you
We
so
would
much for
love
coming
to-
over.
No,
Thank
great,
you.
Thank
great.
you once
I think
again for being with
it's
us.
great because you get to um, go back and rewind what you've done, and the more you do it, the more it pushes you forward. So yeah, next time hopefully I'll have not repeated stories.